Welcome money team. My name is Ghost with Ghost Trades. This is my first ever YouTube video. Very excited to introduce you guys to my strategy of how I play supply and demand, how I draw my zones, and what's helped me become a profitable trader. So without further ado, let's get to it. So with the first video, what I wanted to introduce you guys to is how I first identify my zones, how I find my supply and demand, and how I draw them out. Also with the difference of identifying support and resistance. So let's get to it. The first one I want to kind of show you is trend. It's very important with supply and demand. Without being able to identify trends, you won't be able to identify proper supply and demand zones. So the first index we're going to look at is SPY. I trade SPY a lot. To find the trends, what I mean by trend is where you see it going up and it going down. So that's as simple as possible I can get it to kind of explain it to you guys. That is a trend where you see the price moved up. That's due to buyers buying the price and coming back down due to sellers pushing the price back down. So once you are able to find those trends, you are able to find your zones. So how I draw my zones. So let's start with demand. Basic, very simple to follow. Have a strict principles I follow. I take the lowest part of the trend where it starts, and for demands I would take the opening print of the bearish candle. There is a few different examples I'm going to go through with you guys because not all candles at the bottom of the trend for demand is bearish candles. So for this one, very simple, very low, lowest point of the trend to the top of the body, which is the opening print of the bearish candle. There is instances where the lowest point of the trend is a bullish candle. So what do I do there? Same principles. Very bottom of the trend, but I go to the previous bearish candle opening print, so top of the body, just like that. As you can see, I keep it strict. Bearish candle has to be the top of your zone, so the body opening print, top of the body of the bearish candle has to be the top of your demand zones. Whether the lowest point is a bearish candle in this instance or a bullish candle in this instance, moving to the previous bearish candle. And that's how I draw out my demand zones. Very simple, very basic. Don't need to complicate it. Keep it simple in trading. You will do very good. Now for supply, it's just vice versa. So you want to take the top of the trend. So at this point, you can see here how I can consider this as the very top of the trend. Before it reversed, I take that very top, start my box there, my zone, and the opening print of the bullish candle. So the lower part of the body of the bullish candle. And just like how in instances that the lowest point was a bearish candle here, there are instances where the top of the trend is a bearish candle. And I keep my, as you can see, that one is pretty close. You can go right here actually. So you can see this trend here. I keep the principles the same. very top, and the opening print, the lowest part of the previous bullish candle. And that's as simple as it can get. I don't complicate it. Once again, keep it simple. And those are how I draw my zones and identify my supply and demand. So just a few other key points I wanted to point out is this is on the daily time frame. I am a full-time options trader, so I'd like to draw all my zones on the daily time frame and on the hourly time frame. And if you're somebody with a full-time job, you're more likely wanting to start drawing out your zones on the weekly time frame and on the daily time frame, as that will help you manage your slower trades and not be faked out as much. There are some traders that like to do even smaller time frame than the hourly. I personally preference just don't like to go past the hourly. Helps me stay into those trades longer and not be faked out by the intraday moves. So for hourly zones, I keep it exact same principles as I do with the daily zones. I find the trend. I find where there's sellers and buyers creating a reversal. So here, as you can see, it's a downtrend meeting some buyers that had interest in the price there and pushed the price back up. So this would be my demand zone. Exact same way I drew it out on the daily. Lowest point of that trend reversal. Very top of the body of the bearish candle, the opening price. And for the supply, as you can see, the trend reversal here, pushing that price back down. So very top of that trend to the opening print of the previous bullish candle, or the lowest point of the body, as the bottom of my supply zone. As you can see, that was an area where you got reactions right away. So now moving on to support and resistance. It's a very important part of my strategy, playing supply and demand. There are areas where I usually use to find as a profit target, places where I would move my stop losses once we hit those areas. I do not consider them supply and demand zones. The difference for me between support and resistance and supply and demand is support and resistances do not create a trend reversals the same way that a supply and demand zones do. So there are areas where there is a lot of interest in that price and we've gotten reactions, but they haven't reversed or changed anything from the actual trend. So as you can see, for example here, we got one touch here. So there are areas where the price stalls out and there's a lot of interest. So here, as you can see, got a lot of touches here. I definitely would consider this area right here as a support here, but in other places could be a resistance. It's all dependent on where the price is sitting. And that is basically how I use supply demand with support and resistance. I hope you guys did appreciate this video. This is just a series of videos I'll be bringing out. This was more of the introduction of how I find my supply and demand zones and how I draw them out. I can't wait to get into more in-depth videos and show you guys how I trade these zones. So if you guys did find any insight, any education on this video, and looking forward to the next ones, do me a favor, like and subscribe. And I can't wait to be dropping more gems. Appreciate you guys.